Hey folks, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. My name is Saurabh Pol. Welcome to Pol Ki Pol. This is a very short video about what I think about the 2025 budget. And the only thing that really matters to me, honestly, what I feel, what really applies to me and my family is the income tax exemption that has been given. We have been complaining, everyone's been complaining for the last like 3, 4 months that, hey, like the middle class is being squeezed, the upper middle class is not being incentivized to spend and consume more. There is a degrowth in GDP, in some ways, GDP growth rate. And basically, we are not growing as an economy. There's a slowdown. And the way to counteract that slowdown was to encourage consumption. And the way to do that, some people even insisted that just abolish income tax, or raise the rate of income tax exemption in the new tax regime. Like currently, it was like at least until like yesterday, it was 7.5 lakhs. So if you earn until 7.5 lakhs per annum, you were exempt from taxation, right? Like, of course, there was rebate and all, but whatever, more or less, it was 0% effectively. But now today, people went in thinking even if they raise the level of income tax exemption to 10 lakhs, even that would work out fine, right? What what was weird was just yesterday, Prime Minister Narendra Modi said that, hey, may Goddess Lakshmi bless the middle class, and everyone else with a good budget. So I was like, yeah, no need to get our God in between. It is you and your government. You should take responsibility. You have, drafting the policy. But I guess it works in India, right? So to involve gods and goddesses and everything. I think so. Whatever it, I think it was a well-intentioned statement because from what I understood, the moment he mentioned when the prime minister mentioned middle class, that is when I understood something's up. कि ये इनके पास गया है कुछ तो अच्छा खासा वाट लगा है and they have realized they have messed up and they need to give some khuli choot to people in terms of not saving too much and just putting the money out in the market because many economic surveys were done and they realized that people didn't feel confident they about spending money not just in terms of wants, in terms of needs also. And with this exemption, we knew there was an exemption coming. Let's be honest, right? For the people who actually spend money in this country, because I think what 80% of the country earns less than 5 lakhs per annum. And by country I mean literally, and that involves family income, right? Which is sad because 5 lakhs is not a big amount at all. I want to live in an India where only 20%, or if like 20% like earn less than 5 lakhs per annum, and there is like a vast majority that earns quite a lot, right? And inflation adjusted, obviously. So I want prosperity in my country. The reality is we are very far away from prosperity. We are a poor nation. We are at what, 2200 or 2200 dollars per capita. Our GDP per capita is $2200, which is not really great, right? Like we need to reach like 15,000 to $20,000 per capita, and that is not going to happen with welfare schemes. Welfare schemes are part of it, no doubt about it. No country can wash away its responsibility towards its poor and underrepresented and underserved population. And in our case, unfortunately, that is the majority of the people, right? Like, nahi hai. We started off like we got independent 70, 80 years ago, but so did many other countries. The Second World War changed world history. The course of reality changed for the entire world. China was, in fact, behind us until the 1970s, by the way. Many people, I don't know how many of you know this. Kolkata was considered the Paris of the East in a lot of ways. Many people say many things, right? But Kolkata was one of the most advanced cities in Asia, right? In the 1940s and 50s. Singapore used to look up to Kolkata and be like, yeah, wish we became Kolkata. Now, if you compare Kolkata and Singapore today, you'll laugh till you pass out, right? It's unfortunate. But it is what it is. This is where we are. We have tried a lot of economic policies, and I think finally everyone is realizing that yes, we should have redistribution. We should serve with welfare. We should take care of our population, which is in dire need of it, right? We need those schemes in India, not for women, for poor people, for different groups of people with like varied history and current reality. But the money to do that cannot happen without a part of the economy really churning out well, like increasing exports, increasing manufacturing, increasing investment. That will not happen. The private side, the private players in the economy, they will not prosper until the consumers, which is this guy and you, until you spend more. It's consumption based. The world we live in is a capitalist world which grows with consumption, right? India is known for having so many people, like the most populated country in the world. So many people, outside investors look at us with a lot of promise, but we almost always disappoint them because they are like, yeah, you guys can grow at 10% per annum, but you are at 6.5 and all of that. The reason that happens is we don't have sweeping reforms as of now. And I'll not get deep into it, right? Because utna mera expertise nahi hai, but we need land, labor, and farm reform, which is not really happening. Our small and medium enterprises really need to, drive the economy, not just, these big corporations. We should not demonize big corporations. We should not demonize poor people. We should not demonize middle class. We all have our roles to play. Let me just put it that way, right? Like, मैं अंबानी नहीं हूँ, but अंबानी भी मैं नहीं हूँ, right? Like, Ambani has to play on his level. I have to play on my level, okay? And a poor person should also be given that opportunity to rise up in life. वो भी अंबानी बन सकता है, वो भी, बड़ा आदमी बन सकता है, because let's be frank, Dhirubhai Ambani also didn't start off with much, right? So, but he was an exception. We should be in an India where a Dhirubhai Ambani is not an exception but a rule, which I personally feel America is. This, and so is China in a lot of ways, where you can come from anywhere, but if you really work hard and you get the right ideas, you get lucky, of course. The environment should be fertile enough for you to grow, and to take people with you and your country with you, right? So that will only happen if our people spend. FD बना के सेविंग्स में डाल के ग्रोथ नहीं होता देश का, okay? And just taking money from people and throwing it, like robbing Peter to pay Paul, is not how, you grow. You have to grow. I hate to use this word, but the share of the pie, okay? अगर आपके पास 100 रुपए है, वो उस एक को 20, एक को 80 दे रहे हो, आप 200 कमाओ, 200 रुपए कमाओ, आप 100 भूल जाओ. Like, basically your revenue should increase as a country, and that will only happen if, you actually, of course, you have to build your human resources and all, no doubt about it, but also give your people the purchasing power. Give your investors that belief that, if I put money in this country, the people will consume, the businesses will grow because of it. And what I consume का मतलब क्या होता है? मैंने अगर कुछ खरीदा है तो वो पैसा किसी कंपनी के पास जाता है, which feels कि ओ वाओ, मैंने पैसा कमाया है, अभी मैं और चीज़ें बनाऊंगा, मैं और चीज़ें मैन्युफैक्चर करूंगा, या फिर मैं किसी और चीज़ में इन्वेस्ट करूंगा. You get me? So what happens is more, then the prosperity basically spreads. That's how you succeed. That's how the Americans did it. That's how the Europeans did it. Of course, Europeans had a different way also to grow also. I'll not go there. But the Americans, that's how they did it. Like, Chinese definitely benefited from it. Where do you think China's manufacturing goes to? It goes to the US. The biggest market is the US. They are the world's manufacturing hub, right? Like, आपने कुछ बना लिया, अरे कोई कंज्यूम भी तो करना चाहिए. आप खाना बना रहे हो, कोई खाना भी तो चाहिए. तो उन्होंने बोला दुनिया का खाना हम बनाएंगे, और अमेरिका ने बोला दुनिया का सबसे ज्यादा खाना हम खाएंगे. They're the largest consumers in the world. They're 5% of the population. 25 to 30% of the world's energy is consumed by the Americans. उनका वो मशीन चल रहा है, हमारा मशीन भी चलना चाहिए. So, and I'm not saying, oh, abolish income tax in India. That's not going to happen, right? That's definitely not going to happen, because as I said, we have a lot of poor and underrepresented people who need government support, right? And because private companies are not charities, they are private companies, as the name suggests, right? They are for-profit organizations. They have a fiduciary responsibility towards themselves, to their employees, to their, shareholders and promoters, and so on and so forth, and the partners and everything, right? तो उनको पैसे कमाने होते हैं. They can't go on unprofitable ventures. The government can go on unprofitable ventures because that's their job, right? Like, they know, okay, यहाँ पे ज़्यादा मिल रहा है, but यहाँ पे हम कम कमाएंगे. Like, we'll keep railways, like we'll subsidize the railways, we'll subsidize, food production and things like that. तो वो करने के लिए भी आपके पास पैसा आना चाहिए. वो गवर्नमेंट के पास तब तक नहीं आएगा जब तक, I'll come to now I'll come to the entire point, right? Honestly, India as a country, very few people actually consume. 10% probably. Hardly you have like 50 to 100 million people, वो भी less than 10% है, who actually have money and spend money. अगर तुम उनको भी ऐसा पोक कर करके तकलीफ दोगे, they'll not spend. They'll not spend. We need to rationalize and this was the direct taxes, right? आपको indirect taxes पे भी करना पड़ेगा, like GST and all, like I mean it's insane. You can't call say कि आइसक्रीम खाएगा साले, लग्जरी है ये, ले तेरे को 18% मारता है तेरे सिर पे, एसी में बैठेगा तू, 40 डिग्री तेरे को ज़्यादा लग रहा है, शी लूजर, 40 डिग्रीज में यू वांट एन एसी, ये ले जीएसटी मारेगा तेरे सिर पे, ऐसा नहीं होता, वी कांट डू दैट. We need that rationalization and indirect taxes also, right? And people will spend. Also, one of the things which I think the government realizes is that a lot of the growth post COVID was also driven by a lot of debt that was taken on. There have been defaults. A lot of defaults are starting off in the personal debt market, right? So they are like कि भाई नहीं ये तो फट जाएगा फालतू का. So they are like कि let's give people that breathing space and let them whatever they want to pay off their debts. Most people will do that. They'll pay off their debts. They'll have more money to pay it off. And it's not like अरे आज budget हुआ 2 तारीख को everything is great. No, this will like the new financial year will begin and then the new salaries will start and so on and so forth. उसमें भी मोस्ट हाइक्स कंपनी प्राइवेट कंपनी के हाइक्स नहीं आते मई महीने तक, राइट? सो विच इज़ लाइक गुड इन टू द फर्स्ट क्वार्टर ऑफ द नेक्स्ट फाइनेंशियल ईयर. So probably people will actually start spending in June, July, which is like second quarter of the new financial year. हम तो we are in the last quarter of this financial year, right? So when things like that happen, I would, you know, ask people to also show some caution and some patience. Ki things are not going to improve overnight, but a lot of B2C companies are going to win. You know, like Swiggy, Zomato, and everything. They are going to really win your pantaloons, your shopper stop, and जो भी discretionary spending है उसमें growth आएगा. You know, because clearly people are like पैसा आ गया मैं spend करेगा, which is what we need. एफडी बना के ग्रोथ नहीं होता देश का. आई मीन एफडी बनाओ प्लीज, आई एम नॉट अगेंस्ट एफडीज, आई हैव एफडीज यार, दे वेरी हेल्पफुल इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स, बट यू ऑल्सो नीड टू स्पेंड, you know, you also need to spend and you need to experience life and you need that motivation and that experience in the life that you have got, right? And that won't happen if the government is going to keep taxing you for no reason. So anyway, that was Polkeball on the budget that just recently happened. I'm pretty happy about it, although I'm above that tax slab, thankfully, which gets impacted by these new announcements. But I have family members who are very much in that tax slab, right? And I think that is great, that is fantastic. And also we are all Indians, right? Like सबका भला ही होगा mostly, hopefully. And let's see, let's hope, let's genuinely ensure, like I want our country to grow double digit GDP, man. Like every time I go abroad, I just come back, I'm like, wow, this sucks. Like not that my country sucks, but the condition of the country sucks in a lot of ways, right? Because the contrast is too dark, the contrast is too stark. I'm like, yaar, ye kya hai? And it will not happen, we will not grow as a country until we have a growth mindset, and growth mindset does not happen when you're being taxed to your gills, right? So yeah, that was Polkeball. Let me know what you think in the comments. I will also be inviting a couple of friends who really know much more than I do about finance, you know, budgets and economics and everything. I'll call them for a deep down analysis and probably discuss some first order and second order and third order effects of these announcements, because I just spoke about the income tax slabs, right? Like I just spoke about them, but there is way more to the economy than just this, right? Like the elections are also coming up, state elections are coming up. So we can see a lot of focus was given on Bihar and the development that is very much needed over there. So let's say, looking forward to it. If you let me know if you disagree with something, and we can have a good conversation in the comment section. Thank you so much. This is Polkeball. See ya. Like, comment, subscribe.